Overall, the picture of the economy seems pretty decent. But Mr. Iyer, now it looks good. It looks like the highways are being built. It looks like the government efficiency is improving. It's look like welfare schemes are being done and the houses in the Awas Yojana are being built and the ration is being given out. It looks good. When we step out, we are seeing the markets are busy. People are buying cars. I can tell you, I live in Delhi, and going out just to have a meal has become very expensive. So, there seems to be wealth around us. But when it comes to the GDP figure, 6.5%, the economic survey says we need to be at 8%. And I think you and I can agree with that. Why are we not hitting 8%?
Okay. So again, Modi ji always likes to think big, plan big, and have those grand targets. Now the reality is, if we truly want to be Viksit Bharat by 2047, and we have to look at China as an example, we need to deliver 2 decades of 10% growth. The 6 and 7% growth is not going to take us. And we are running out of time. And if you are serious about 2047, we need 10% growth for 2 decades at least. And is it possible? It is very much possible. And, building on Sumit ji's observation, see, we have our geopolitical tailwinds, right? We are an important Quad member. Things are coming in. But there are some things big that the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister need to look at, right? Probably we set up a 1 trillion infrastructure blitzkrieg, right? So we have tasted some success with Gati Shakti and other things. But unless we think big, we think of, let's say, over the next 5 years, we need a 1 trillion fund which will look at, infrastructure in a very different way. Now, how do we bring that kind of money into the system? Some of the things like that you said, supply side constraint can also go away the moment we have that kind of push in manufacturing and infrastructure. We have to start thinking and probably start doing something fundamentally different, start monetizing, pool in our key assets, airways, ports, highways, monetize them. Maybe about 200 billion will come from there. Sovereign wealth fund and, invite global pension fund, about 300 billion will come from there. Set up the infrastructure bond, keep a target of $500 billion. There's a lot that can be pushed through. So unless we think big, unless we have 10 Shenzhen-like SEZs around the country, one gift city is not enough. Unless we really think big and push for that kind of infrastructure or export-led growth. Now, why I'm also saying export? See, remember, Japan, Deutschmark, let me wear the professor hat. There are some examples of currencies that have done well over a long period of time. Many of the currencies have weakened, including us. Unless we have strong export, unless people around the world want our goods and services, we can't have a strong currency. We can't have a respect of people around the world.
Okay, but Mr. Iyer, I'm trying to find the X factor, because many of the things that you're saying are happening at a pace, never before, right? The highways are being built at a pace never before. The houses in this country are being built at a pace never before. Our defense localization, which is indigenization, is happening at a pace never before. So everything seems to be happening at a very accelerated pace, but when you boil it down to the GDP figure, 6.5%, what's the X factor missing there?
So the thing is, you are absolutely right. The thing is, because we have had such sluggish economy and we came from fragile 5, compared to that fragile 5 where the previous finance minister of the earlier dispensation left us, what we are doing now looks really big. But the sad reality is, if we want to be where we want to be, we need to do this at a much higher pace. So while we are doing well, and thank God we are doing well, we need to push this hard and we need to keep ourselves some really big, big goals.
It's called state change, orbit change, and let me put that in a perspective, right? You put on a kettle of water, okay, to make your tea, and you keep heating it, and the temperature keeps rising, keeps rising. But at a point, at 100 degrees, there's a state change. It goes from water into gas. So you keep doing it, and it's incremental, and then suddenly a state change happens, and then you go into an incremental orbit. Now, let me get Alok Mehta in this. Alok Mehta, having observed this exercise, both in politics and and the budgetary exercise and the political economy, as we call it, for the better part of 50 years, we are seeing the incremental growth. It seems to be happening at great pace. We can actually visualize the trains, we can ride on the roads, we can get into the new airports, we can see the ports that are being built from Vizinjam to Maharashtra. But why is it not translating, do you think, into that state change in GDP growth, where you do or you start those 2 decades? I mean 2 decades will come in 2047, but we are not this year going to start that 2 decades either.
Ishadji, the problem is because it's still the hangover of the socialist system we talk about. Socialism, certainly for poor people or the middle class also, the Britain or America also, they do a lot. But here, we still feel a number of lobbies are working there, and they say, okay, we have this type of system, everything we want free. And the other way, because we want, you are very right, Prime Minister Narendra Modi since last 10 years, what he visualized for the lower people, self-employment, this kind of what we are talking, we can't be a China, we can't be United States. The problem is with us, because we are more democratic country. I think you will agree, and all our guests will agree, that we have a democracy. We can't do what the Chinese did, because you want to do a road. Here you see in East Delhi, if you go some bridge, okay, they are not giving the land, then the problem. So these kind of problem also there. So we are taking some steps, and the government of India is also trying their best. But that's why I think the self-employment, more for education, people, the mindset should be changed. The problem is we are not spending more money still, 5%, 6% for education, more for the health sector, because then the whole society will be more aware about the problems of the country. Because in such a big country, you can't solve the problem only by the GDP. I can understand we are going better than you see Britain, how poor the economy is very suffering a lot. Germany is shocking, maybe because of the Ukraine crisis, but even then I feel that the Germany economy was better than anybody else in Europe. But now they are also facing a serious problem. So in the comparison, India is better situation.
Yeah, no, so like I've told you, we are the fastest growing global economy in the world. Okay, so yay. But the reality check is that yes, if by 2047, which means exactly 22